This story is set 7 years ago when racism was at its peak in America. A black man ate fried chicken for the first time. He ate the first piece of chicken with great delicacy, cursing under his breath. Then he asked the driver where to dispose of the bones. The foolish driver rolled down the window and threw him out, gesturing for him to do the same in a comical way. Seeing this, the man laughed and did the same. A white girl standing nearby at the red light looked at them in surprise. The white girl couldn't believe that a white man, especially in the 1960s, could be a black man's driver. But the driver, whose name was Tony, didn't care. He smiled and waved at the girl. A few months earlier, Tony was a completely different person. He was a staunch supporter of racism. Once, when his wife gave water to 2 black laborers, Tony angrily threw the glasses into the trash. His wife didn't say anything because Tony was the sole breadwinner in the house. Tony was a security guard at a bar. If anyone caused a ruckus at the bar, Tony would immediately handle the situation. But apart from this, Tony also did small-time shady jobs to earn money. He would secretly steal expensive customers' belongings by tipping the waiters and then improve his image under the guise of helping. But one day, he was overly harsh with a quarrelsome customer. That customer turned out to be influential, and as a result, Tony was jailed for several months. Tony became unemployed. To run the household, he started thinking of new ways to earn. Once, he participated in an eating competition to win $50. He had to eat more than a man named Fat Paul, who could eat 24 hot dogs at once. But Tony gave up halfway through the competition. His wife called Tony's actions crazy. Soon, Tony had to find a job to pay his house rent. A friend of his sent him to work as a driver for a piano player. When Tony reached the piano player's office, he saw that the office was very luxurious. There were ivory items inside, and the atmosphere was quite regal. But when Tony saw the piano player, he was shocked. He was a black man named Don Shirley. Dr. Shirley asked Tony his first question: "Are you willing to work for a black man?" Tony initially refused, but had to give in to the circumstances. Shirley needed a driver and someone to accompany him on his music tour in the southern states of America. Racism was rampant in the southern states, and it was difficult for a black man to travel safely in such an environment. Tony would get $100 every week. Tony finally gathered courage. 8 weeks of work, $100 per week, and food and lodging included. But the idea of becoming a servant to a black man was completely unacceptable to him. Tony's name had been heard many times by the recording company. People admired his ability to solve problems. That's why Shirley himself called Tony. Although Tony laid down his conditions, he asked for $150 per week and made it clear that he would not be anyone's servant. There were other ways to earn quick money. Tony did small jobs for friends that had to be kept hidden from the police. He could earn a lot of money from these and perhaps wouldn't have to work at the bar again. But Tony had his limits. He would never do anything that would endanger him or his family. He could pawn his favorite watch, but not take the wrong path. The next morning, Shirley called and agreed to all of Tony's conditions. He also asked if Tony's wife was willing to be separated from him for such a long time. Although his wife was saddened by this decision, Tony had to do this job. After all, he couldn't run the house by eating $26 worth of food every day. Before leaving, the recording company gave Tony a green book. This book was called the Green Book. It listed all the hotels and restaurants in the southern states of America that welcomed black people. With this book, Tony and Shirley began their journey.